Hi everyone. I wanted to preface this Libra reading with a quick apology regarding the audio quality for the reading itself. I didn't want to go ahead and redo the reading just because the message came through so beautifully, but I do apologize for the poor quality. The microphone had fallen off from where I had placed it and I did not realize it. But I do hope you enjoy the reading. It was a very powerful one. By Libra. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Libra March 2022 Illumination reading. This is I'm Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So this reading is specifically meant to help you find the meaning in the challenge or challenges you are currently experiencing, so that you can better answer the why. Why am I going through this challenge right now? What am I meant to unlock about my path and purpose? And some aspect about my unique self that is meant to be of greater service to both myself and the collective experience. So Libras, hi to everyone returning and hi to all my new viewers. I'm going to start the reading off here by pulling a few cards to take a look at your internal energy for the month of March, what you're kind of sitting with currently. Then I'll take a look at a few cards around what's going on in your external environment, and then the why, the kind of overarching lesson that you're learning, or the why behind the challenge that you're having in taking your internal energy and having it engage with your external energy. All right, so I'm going to go over these cards here. So Libra, we have the Two of Pentacles for your internal energy. We have the Three of Wands in your external energy. And we have as the why, the kind of overarching theme and lesson to be learned this month is the Nine of Wands. So this is actually a really, I see the message clearly here for you, Libra. So the month of March is going to feel a little bit like you're juggling. The Two of Pentacles can denote, in the physical, like when we're looking at this as an external energy, this is really kind of denotes the day-to-day tasks that we have to do, all the little things that kind of come up that sometimes we can feel a little bit like that can be juggling. I have to do this and I have to do that, but it always also represents a choice. So when you think about it, as you're doing these little day-to-day tasks, there is a choice. When you may say yes to doing this task, at a certain point you're saying no to another task. So throughout the entire day, it's kind of that lesson learned of the control we have in our lives is in the tiny decisions that we make every day. What we say yes to, what we decide to do with our time and our energy. And when we bring the Two of Pentacles into an internal energy, this is really where we are internally figuring out what to prioritize in our lives. So there's this feeling here of kind of what to prioritize in the physical and why. Well, because in the external environment, there is a sense of kind of like your ships coming in. Now, Libra, this has actually kind of been an ongoing theme for the past few months. So this has come up in a few of your readings, this Three of Wands. And what I'm really seeing here is that Spirit is asking you to really get clear on where you want to place your time, where you want to start to prioritize even your thoughts. Because yes, Pentacles do denote physical, the physical realm. But when this is an internal energy, this can be applied to all aspects of yourself on an internal level, spiritual, emotional, the mental. And ultimately, that equates to the physical. That the more that you start to prioritize where you're placing your mental energy, so this could look like letting yourself have a time to decompress mentally instead of maybe forcing yourself to keep going in, go to where you get drained. Or on an emotional level, this can look like choosing to make emotional choices or to do things from an emotional place that's going to allow you to get to a much healthier and happier emotional state. Or on a spiritual level, this could be where you are starting to prioritize things that make you feel like you're connected to others. And this is all to prepare you for what's coming in your external environment. And the why. The why is the Nine of Wands. This is the card that really denotes the weary, wounded warrior, somebody who has come a very long way, taken a lot of action towards something, and you're still standing. You know, you've gone through quite a bit, and there's one more step of action to take to complete this cycle. But this is where we kind of get stuck in this holding pattern of, oh, but I'm exhausted. Oh, but I've gone so far. I can't go one step further. And what can actually happen here is we can end up preventing ourselves from actually being able to take advantage of something that's coming in for us now that we have actually put action towards. Meaning, the Three of Wands doesn't just come out of nowhere. Ships don't just kind of come in for you without you having already put in some legwork towards taking action towards something being fulfilled. Now granted, what comes back in might not always be exactly what we had intended or hoped for, but it is set in motion by the actions that we have already taken. So there is something here about a very strong feeling coming through, about something coming back to you right now that you've taken some action towards. Now this could be something that you actually are, you know, preparing yourself for internally, because then that's why you're kind of making these choices inside, so to speak, to get yourself mentally prepared for what is to come. Or this could be something that maybe you've put time and energy towards something a long time ago, and now an opportunity is coming back for you. But Spirit's asking you now to kind of get yourself in that place of at least knowing what you want to prioritize, so that you are better able to be in a more, I'd say, healthy mental, spiritual, emotional state for when this opportunity comes in. Because at this point, you're learning a lesson that yes, sometimes it seems like that final step is the hardest step. You know, when you think about it, the Ten of Wands comes after the Nine of Wands. And the Ten of Wands is a picture of an individual who has now picked up all of these 9 wands, including his own wand, the 10th wand, and he's carrying them on his back. And it's this element of like, ugh, I'm tired. I can't possibly think about picking up all of this whole heavy burden and taking another step with that. That's a lot to do. But the beautiful element of the Ten of Wands is that it's a completion of a cycle, and there is the feeling of homecoming. There's the feeling that you're taking all of this because you're finally seeing the final resting place for this entire 10-card cycle, for this entire journey. You're finally seeing, okay, this was where it was always meant to lead. It's almost like this guy realizing, and I'm getting a little bit of this Three of Wands, that there's this feeling that maybe the other 6 wands are behind him and you don't quite see. And what's interesting about that as well is that the Six of Wands is a card of homecoming. It's a card of the hero being celebrated by others. So there is something here, Libra, really going on, which is interesting. I don't normally see the cards kind of interacting in this way, but I am feeling that with you here, that there's this lesson being learned, that you are being almost watched, and perhaps you don't realize it, that as you're waiting for things to come in for you, there's actually others who are waiting to celebrate how far you've come and are waiting for you to see the final, almost like kudos or results or gift that's coming in. But the ultimate lesson that we have to learn is that it's on us to take that final step. Unfortunately, no one can take that final action step for us. And the lesson here is that you've come this far. Yes, you can make one final trip. And it is almost like if he was going to take all of these wands and kind of run down to the dock, that something is coming, that he is doing so on faith, knowing that what's coming in is going to actually make use of everything he's learned in this journey, in this cycle. Really neat and powerful message for you, Libra, here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some cards, And we're going to take a look at the kind of challenges or blocks that are coming up in between you really, internally getting yourself in this place of prioritization and being able to actively get yourself prepared to take that final step to meet a possibility that's coming in here for you. Okay, so we have the King of Wands. Ooh, powerful card to come out as your main challenge position. Okay, we have, oh, I love this. Okay, the Artist. I'll explain that in a minute. We have, let's see here, what else? So with the King of Wands coming up in your main, this is your main challenge position here. That really speaks to, so when we think of the King of Wands to me is like CEO energy. That is where we, when I think of CEO energy, I think of, Steve Jobs or, sorry, I had to take a drink of water here. Steve Jobs, or I can never remember his name, the guy who owns Tesla and SpaceX. But it's individuals like that really fit this kind of King of Wands. It's individuals who act from a place of passion, and they kind of build a kingdom around that, and they can be uncompromising. Now, when we think about, we're uncompromising in basically others who don't see their vision, who don't see their passion. They will continue to take action from their passion, even if those around them choose kind of not to recognize it. Now, when this can become a challenge is when we're actually being asked to step up into this position in our lives, when we're being asked to own this energy, and instead we are kind of shirking it to a certain extent. That we are, kind of internally juggling, and we maybe aren't placing our external efforts in the best way that we can. When you think about the King of Wands, he takes measured action from what he enjoys doing, from what aligns with the outward expression of his passion. So he's not going to be somebody who just kind of does whatever and lets his days go by just kind of doing random meaningless tasks. He's somebody who's going to be very focused, very driven, and knows exactly what kind of lights his fire, so to speak. And that's really coming through here for you, in that there is this feeling of almost like not wanting to step up into that position. Because when you think about it, like when you look at these two cards here, we have the King of Wands, he's holding his wand, there's like this proud look on his face. And then we have the Nine of Wands, and this is an individual who's, he's holding his wand, but he's kind of like wearily propped up on it. And there's this feeling here of you are one step away from really coming into this energy, that there's a difference here between kind of stopping and seeing yourself as like, this is almost like the victim mentality of like, I've had to go through so much. And this is a change of that, of saying, well, heck yeah, I've gone through so much. And look at my freaking wand. Look how impressive this is. Look what I can do with this. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me that this wand is less than. Or I'm not going to let anybody tell me that what I've gone through doesn't show how strong and how incapable and amazing my wand is. So there's really this kind of, you're being asked to change your perspective right now as to kind of how far you've come in, kind of almost moving out of this victim mentality. And I'm not going to say that you guys are all victims, but there is this feeling here of just like, really? Do I have to do that myself? Do I have to? It's like, or looking back even at how far you come and saying like, this has been such a tough journey. I've done it alone. I don't want to do it like this anymore. Or everybody's used me, or blah, 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 fill in the blank. And what you're being asked to realize, what Spirit wants you to realize is, no, own it. Own how far you've come. Own that, maybe there were people who did use you. Or maybe you did have to do this all alone. But this is what's lent you to now understanding really where your wand is going to fit in with what's coming in. Because the following card we have is the Artist, and I love this card in the deck. It is, this is actually a card that is specific to this deck. It's the number 23, which to me is the royal star of the lion number. It's a number that breaks down to the number 5, which is the number of change. And I love this because to me this card really speaks to writing, creating into existence what you want for yourself. And I love the image on this card where, first of all, he has, the wings of Mercury here for speed and communication, but he's also writing or possibly painting. He's looking out over here and he sees this beautiful tree, possibly like the oak tree that he's hoping the seeds of what he's going to spread and communicate are going to grow into. And that's really what Spirit would like you to understand, is that you're being asked to step up into this kind of uncompromising CEO type energy, this view of yourself of what I have to offer is of great importance. And it needs to be disseminated. It needs to be heard and seen and painted and created into existence for others to benefit, including yourself. In the heart of your reading, this is what Spirit's asking you to embrace, to be able to kind of overcome this challenge and be able to step up into this energy and to be able to really, make use of what's coming in for you here is the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is the higher energy of the Two of Pentacles. Both denote a choice. But the High Priestess, she knows. In fact, there is no choice for her, because when asked a question, she simply just knows, because she is tapped into her intuition. She also holds the book of universal knowledge. And there's this very strong feeling coming through of, Libra, and you're being guided by Spirit through your internal intuitive connection. And you know what this message is. I think some of you perhaps maybe have been a little unsure. Maybe there has been this kind of internal juggling because you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I have come this far. I have done so much. I have maybe taken action towards a passion at one point or another, but I don't quite know what this is. What is coming in? I don't know. And I don't know what my passion is. I don't know how to stand strong like a CEO for something. When you think of Steve Jobs, he had a specific vision for Apple, for communication, for computers, for an interconnected network. When we think of, I'm trying to think of, Oprah Winfrey or Martha Stewart, they had very specific industries that they were focused on to begin with. And maybe their empires grew beyond that, but they had something very specific. And you might be sitting there saying, well, I don't know what that specific thing is for me. What Spirit's saying is actually you do. That when you think of the Artist and you think of what do you want to disseminate? What do you want to paint into existence? What do you want your oak tree to be? Now this could be literally anything to you. This could be that maybe you love working with children and you've discovered a new way of being able to help children. Maybe you had raised your own children and now you found a way to maybe participate in a community outreach program and you get to help kids do X, Y, and Z and you get to donate your time. Or maybe now you're actually looking to go back and do something on a deeper level with children. Maybe you want to go back to school and become a child psychologist. Or maybe you've dabbled in an artistic or true artistic element of maybe writing or painting or you name it. And maybe now you're just realizing that's really what I want to do. I really want to, show people my love for writing. My ultimate oak tree would be me at a book signing, just sitting in front of people telling them about what I know. Or maybe your ultimate oak tree is living an adventurous life and you want to tell people how freeing it can be when you take on the maybe facing the more scary and challenging aspects of living into our experience. And so you want to show people what it's like to mountain climb and jump off of a cliff with a squirrel suit on, or whatever it is. I'm going to give you a very specific instance to myself, that when I sit and think about what I would love, like what in the most imaginative kind of fairyland experience, something that I would like in a moment, if I could just encapsulate what I would love to do, one of those things is to write, but not just writing. As I think about it, one of my favorite screenwriters is, and I can't think of his name either, I'm so sorry, but the gentleman who wrote Downton Abbey, because I love his characterization, so beautiful. But in my mind, one of the images that I emotionally connect to is sitting under a beautiful old yew tree in front of a manor similar to the home in Downton Abbey, and being able to just sit and write and look at a collection of the books that I've written sitting next to me, and just enjoying that moment of being in a place that I would have always fantasized about going to, and kind of living like half in this surreal world of maybe something that I write that is similar to what he's written. And there's this feeling of I emotionally connect to that to the extent that I can literally feel the breeze on my face. I can smell the yew tree that I'm sitting up against. I can feel the grass and the wetness of the ground. And there's an element of, I've always known this. Now I do, for those of you who are wondering, in addition to what I do here, I do write on the side as well. But for some of you, I think there is that feeling of really stepping into that place of emotionally connecting through your imagination to something that's within you that can go much further reaching than I think even you understand, to where whatever you choose to do is something that can actually help others. And that's really when we're talking about what I like to coach people around, and also the topic of this reading, that's really what we're looking to kind of unlock, is what do you have uniquely to yourself that is meant to be of service to others, that's meant to be a gift, that's meant to, when I think about what I like to do, and even thinking about the screenplay writer who wrote Downton Abbey, he provided great entertainment for myself and for many others, if no other than also serving his own passion and allowing him to live a very fulfilled life doing something he loves. So that's kind of the example of how when we do what we love and we do what we're meant to do and we step fully into that we can go from this to this. And when you think about, I'm sure that screenplay writer didn't just wake up one day with a script and then just go out and become instantly famous. He had to go on the journey of learning how to write like that. He had to go on the journey of learning how to sell what he's written. He's had to go on that journey. And now, but he still gets to enjoy what he wants to do. He still gets to enjoy his ultimate vision for his future. But again, by also allowing others, though, to be inspired by what he does. And that's how we get to be a part of the collective, as well as fulfill ourselves uniquely as an individual. Because if you can step up into this deep knowing and step forward with true confidence in yourself, on the other side, this is your final challenge here. These are the blocks. And it's going to take this deep knowing and this deep faith in self to get past the Ten of Swords and the Nine of Swords, which are two cards of pain and worry. This is the Ten of Swords is when we have been at our lowest point, when we understand that we were at a place, and you could be there now and you could have been there in the past, that there is a place when we feel like we can go no lower. But the beauty of the Ten of Swords is that you can go no lower, so it's only up from here. And from that, you actually start a brand new sword cycle. So you start with a truth, with a new connection to your personal truth that comes from having gone through this.
The Nine of Swords is your final challenge, and this is the card of the thoughts that keep us up at night. This is the worry. This is the what if. What if I follow this passion? What if I decide to pick up all these wands and I start walking and I can't carry that burden? And Spirit's saying, you don't have to carry it that far, because what's coming in is going to meet you. It's almost like that saying of like, you take one step towards the gods and the gods take, I don't even know, 1,000, 10 towards you. But there's something about that, you know, and there's also the saying too of like, you know, God will help those who help themselves. It's almost like that when you get that last spark of courage to really stand for what you know is yours uniquely to share and what will fulfill your vision and your dream for you, yourself, your legacy, the ship will come in to meet you. But you have to take that step. You have to bear the burden of that weight just one step further in faith to allow you to meet the ship that's coming in. All right. Ooh, such an awesome reading here, Libra. Really getting chills, actually. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull 3 cards here, where I'm going to pull a card for curiosity, a card for courage, and a card for contemplation. And this is where we're going to engage the Triad of Engagement to help you better take what is a very general reading and bring it into an individualized message for yourself by taking a look first here at curiosity, what Spirit would like you personally as an individual to be curious about, to help illuminate some aspect of your experience that you are not aware of but need to be, that will help you in this process. All right, what does Libra need to be curious about for the month of March? What does Libra need to be curious about for the month of March? Okay, oh, interesting. So we had 3 cards here. We have 7th chakra. We have just Archangel Uriel, number 41, breaking down to a 5. We have Door to Personal Healing and Happiness, number 34, breaking down to a 7. And we have Contract, number 6. And Libra, this is kind of represents the Justice card in the tarot, which is your card, Libra, the balancing of the scales. So 7th chakra, this is, our 7th chakra is our crown chakra. And I love that this actually mirrors very much the High Priestess here. She's also holding the book of universal knowledge. She's also, the 7th chakra is where we have direct communication to the beyond, to Spirit. And so there is something here about really stepping up into that to understand that what is coming through for you now is a direct connection to Spirit. And it is tapping into universal knowledge, so that if you're kind of questioning, well, how do I go about doing this? You'll get the downloads. We have Door to Personal Healing and Happiness, such a beautiful card. It really does, for me, there's this feeling of kind of opening the doors to your own personal heaven, to your idea of heaven on earth here. And with Contract, so the number 6 actually lines up with the year, the universal number for this year, which is number 6. And that the number 6 really speaks to working through the energy of love and working with others to create something together that is going to benefit, it's going to be of service in a spiritual way. So with all of these 3 cards coming up here, a good question to ask yourself, Libra, for the month of March, to kind of bring awareness to yourself is, where are you holding yourself? When I think of Contract, where are you holding yourself back from walking through this door to personal healing and happiness and having this direct communication, trusting that direct communication from the divine? Where are you holding yourself back because of a contract? Now, contract can be a literal contract. This can be where you've signed a marriage certificate with somebody, or you've signed a commitment to work someplace. or you've signed a contract to be liable for something. This can also be a contract that we make internally, where we have told ourselves, well, I'm contractually obligated on a spiritual level to helping all of these people. Or I am contractually obligated to, helping my sibling, or something along those lines. Or I'm contractually obligated to continue to work in this field of work because I have put time, energy, and money towards it. And so I'm contractually obligated to that. And there's something here about you, I think, being curious about that where are you preventing yourself from actually moving through this beautiful door into kind of a heaven on earth where your ships do come in for yourself? Where are you holding yourself back through a contract that you have made, either on a soul-based level or on a legitimate true contractual agreement with somebody? And there's probably going to be something in there where that's really where Spirit's going to say, it's time to let that go. Or it's time to stop using that as an excuse as to why you can't move forward. Or it's time to make a change in that area. Okay, now we're going to pull a card here to see what Spirit would like you to be curious about, where to take action for the month of March. So this is where we're looking at courage. This is where Spirit would like you to have the courage to take the action. When we're thinking about taking action, we're thinking about just this, stepping up into looking at yourself as the CEO. Oh, love it. It says, surrender your fear of change. The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always, whether you're afraid of a change in your job, your health, or a relationship, or if you fear aging or death. Repeat the affirmation, I have faith that all is well. I have faith that all is well. And I love that there's a feeling here too of kind of aligning with the artist, the number 23 breaking down to a 5, which the 5 is the number of change. And I think right now, yeah, that can be scary. Change is always a little frightening, but change is also growth. And when we think about it that way, and we think about being asked to step into a place where we are able to perhaps change not only our own experience, but change the experience and affect the experience of others through what we choose right now to lean into and to start stepping up into our fullest power in doing so. That change is one that, yes, you should be excited about. You are literally, and I think it's interesting, these cards also kind of mirror each other, two people looking as if they're looking at what's coming in for themselves. And she's ready. She's on her horse. She's ready to run down and meet those ships. So surrender your fear of change. Change can be scary, but change can lead to also amazing growth. That oak tree could never have grown into what it is without that seed having been planted and that seed changing as it grew. And maybe you are that oak tree and you've gone through all the growing pains, and it's time for the world to see how far you've come. And maybe others will be guided to paint from what you are leading as the example. They will also move forward in painting from what you created. All right, now our final card here is going to be the card for contemplation. And this is going to be where Spirit's asking you or showing you as to what you should reflect on for the month of March. Kind of an underlying theme for this entire reading, but also what to hold yourself responsible to, accountable to remembering and incorporating for the month of March. All right, let's see here. What does Spirit like you to? Let's see. What does Libra need to know about what to contemplate on? Oh, beautiful. It's interesting. Another sign got this as well this month. So you trust the niggle. It says, what is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? And I think this is beautiful. That this is the High Priestess right there. You know what it is. You know the change that needs to be made, the change that you're currently fearing. And I think you also deep down know what that change is going to unlock for yourself. What this gift is that you deeply, deeply want to express and to live from and to put out into the world. But it's also going to involve a change. I'm sorry guys, you can hear my daughter. She's downstairs with her dad. Somebody is not so happy. So I'm going to leave you here with that, Libra, that this is a very powerful month for you. And if you're having a hard time kind of leaning into facing this challenge, really take the time to kind of do what I was describing that I've done earlier, is to really visualize for yourself what would be this kind of almost heaven on earth for you. And it can be involving other people, or it could just simply be you, like me, imagining myself sitting under that yew tree, looking at the real life version of Downton Abbey. But in there is going to be that feeling of when you emotionally connect to something, you kind of bring it through. You bring something from the spiritual world and you ground it here in the reality through you. And that's going to allow you to find that courage to face the fear of change and to make that change this month. All right, Libra, I hope you all have a wonderful month of March. If you would like to illuminate your own personal spiritual importance and to see how it can be of service to both yourself and others, you can click on the link in the description box below to book a personal reading or a one-on-one coaching session. And if I don't see you until April, have a lovely and illuminating month of March. Bye, Libra.